Number 15, before I forget, the code letter for this objective is N. Acme Pools is building a rectangular wading pool. The area of the bottom needs to be 70 feet squared. The formula for the area of the pool is A equals x squared plus 3x, where x is the length of the pool. What should be the length of the pool? So we want to know the length, and they told us that x is the length, so we want to figure out what does x equal. Right, we're not going to let this problem scare us because there's an equation, and we know how to deal with equations. We'll have A equals x squared plus 3x, and then it tells me that the area is 70. So in this formula, the A would be 70. So we're going to have 70 equals x squared plus 3x. Now we just have to decide how we're going to solve this. I think I'm going to solve this by factoring. You could definitely use the quadratic formula if you are more comfortable doing that. But whether I do quadratic formula or factor it, this is going to need to equal 0. So to get rid of the positive 70, I'll do minus 70 to both sides. So I'm going to have 0 equals. I'm going to write these in order. I cannot combine them because none of them are like terms. I'm going to have x squared plus 3x minus 70, and then once again, if you'd like to from here, if you want to set up the quadratic formula, go ahead, but I am going to just do it by factoring because I do one of the others by quadratic formula. So if I factor this, remember we're going to have x and x. We'll have 1 times negative 70, which is negative 70, and then let's see, negative 10 times 7, negative 7 times 10, and I notice that negative 7 and 10 will work because negative 7 plus 10 is 3, so minus 7 plus 10, and then my x's are going to be positive 7 and negative 10. Well, if I'm dealing with a real life situation, a negative number definitely will not work. And it said what should be the length of the pool? The length of the pool should be 7. We're dealing with feet. So the length of that pool should be 7 feet. Number 16, an acorn falls 45 feet from the top of a tree. The height h of the acorn at time t is h equals negative 16t squared plus 45. How long will it take the acorn to hit the ground? So how long would have to do with the time, so we're going to be solving for t. And we want it to hit the ground. So if we want it to hit the ground, our height is going to be 0. So my formula is going to be 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 45. And again, there's no reason to shy away from these word problems because there's a formula that you get to use, and you usually just have to plug something into it. All right, so from here, there are a couple different ways to work this one. I'm going to work it using square roots, which means I want to get the t squared by itself, so I'm going to subtract 45 from both sides, and I'll get negative 45 is equal to negative 16t squared. We'll divide both sides by negative 16, and when I do that, I will get t squared is equal to 2.8125, and then to get rid of the square, we'll take the square root. So I'll get t is equal to 1.68. I'm not going to put plus minus this time because in real life only the positive answer would make sense, and this would be 1.68 seconds. So there we go. All right, problem 17. A falcon dives toward a pigeon on the ground. The height h of the falcon at time t is h equals negative 16t squared minus 220t plus 100. Estimate the time the pigeon has to escape. So we want to know how long does that pigeon have to get out of the way. So time is t again. And let's see, a falcon dives towards a pigeon on the ground. So we want to know when is this pigeon going to be on the ground. So we want to know when is the height going to be 0. So I have 0 equals negative 16t squared minus 220t plus 100. And again, there's no reason to shy away from this problem because there's a formula given and we know what to plug in for one of the variables. All right, so from here, I believe I'm going to work this using the quadratic formula because it does equal 0 and it is in standard form. So A, B, and C. A is negative 16. B will be negative 220, C will be positive 100. So if I solve this, instead of x equals, we'll have t equals opposite B, so the opposite of negative 220 will be positive 220, plus or minus square root. B squared would be negative 220 squared, which is going to be 48,400, minus 4 times A times C, don't forget the negatives when they're in there, all over 2a. 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. Then we'll let our calculator go to work on this one. We'll end up getting one of our answers is going to be negative 14.19. The other answer will be 0.44. The negative one, obviously in real life, does not make sense, so it's going to take only 0.44 seconds. So that pigeon does not even have 1 second to escape. or pigeon.